Hi, how are you? I wanted to come on and show you. I have been struggling since last spring with my foundation combination. My skin has changed. Being in my 50s, my skin has changed. So I wanted to come and show you a few of the things that I have changed or tweaked to improve that. What was happening is it just felt cakey. My skin was a little flaky and it just felt like everything was sticking and it wasn't ever sitting right, and I just wasn't happy with it. So the new thing that I do now is I combine the BB cream, the new BB cream, with just a little bit of the Touch Foundation for coverage. The BB cream for me is working so much better. I love this stuff, but I am still having some redness, so I do need a little extra coverage. So I'm just going to combine these two. I forgot to tell you, I've also been taking my foundation into the eye area rather than just using concealer there. But I'll talk more about that when I get there. So I get it all on, and if you could see, I kind of press it in a little bit, and then I take my kabuki brush and just go through and press a little more. I do like applying it with my fingers, not my kabuki brush, to save this for last. And I am pressing, not swiping. Swiping can leave swirl marks. It doesn't quite leave the greatest finish. And when you're struggling with your finish, that's one of the things you should probably look into changing. So this is not going to be super high coverage. But I don't like super high coverage. So then I wait a little bit. I'm going to go ahead and apply my bronzer, and then I'll come back and tell you about my powder routine now. Whoops, I forgot about concealer. So I have switched to a smaller brush to help me use less concealer. Another problem I was constantly having was just having too much product on my face, even using very little. That's another reason I like to use my hands, is because the hands do take some of the product with it and it doesn't just sit on your face. So I add just a teeny tiny amount. Now I do not have dark circles. I mean, I have a little bit of dark circles, but I know I don't struggle with it like a lot of you do. So what I focus on is the areas of darkness that I do have, and that would be my recommendation for you, to focus on very small areas with very little product at the very darkest point. This concealer is a great concealer, but once you get to be of a certain age and you have more details, using concealer directly under the eye is going to highlight those details, even if your concealer is the same color as your makeup. It's just, concealer is a different beast than foundation, if that makes sense. And it just seems to highlight and make you look more wrinkled there. So I have darkness there. I know it's not super dark, I know, but it is blue. So I try to lighten that all the time. Just put a little bitty bit. Then I'm going to take a little bitty bit. I have darkness here, and I tend to also be red. I'm not today, but very often I'm red at the lash line. So I'm going to take it here. This also is going to help to lift your face, because I'm taking it up and then in the lash line. Now, I have some darkness here. I'm learning to just live with that because it's not severe, because trying to conceal it, like I said, just kind of draws attention to it. That's why I've changed to using my foundation in the eye area rather than concealer only. So here in this teardrop area, and up along the side of your nose, it tends to be very thin skin there, so you tend to have darkness there. And then back in here, and by bringing that up, you're going to give yourself just a little bit of a lift. Okay? So you can see the difference, that little bit of brightness makes, even though my concealer is the same color as my foundation. It's the same shade. Okay, so once I finish concealer, I go through with a sponge, a dry sponge, because I want it to take away extra product. I don't want it sitting on my face. I know this all seems complicated. It's really not hard. It just took me a while to figure out all these steps to make my foundation just lay better. It was particularly bad around my nose area. And then I'm gonna go put my bronzer on now. I still haven't gotten to powder. Rewind for just a second. I forgot to tell you that I have kind of stopped using the primer, mattifying primer. It was just part of the product that was making it too thick. I'm not going to trade the primer for my skincare because the skincare is very important. So I just kind of went without the primer. I started going without the primer. Instead, if I feel like I need my makeup to last longer and I'm concerned about oils breaking it down, I've started using this moisturizer, because it mattifies as it moisturizes. And what I'm realizing is that my skin was missing and really needing was more hydration, more moisture, more hydration. It just looks better that way. Okay, I do still use powder. I use it very sparingly now. Powder used to be my favorite thing because I have oily skin. I still do have oily skin, but because it's also now dry, oily skin, which is a weird combination and a difficult combination, I've changed the way I do the powder. So I still do just, oopsie-daisy. I still do just a little bit on my finger in the under eye area, because what will happen is that all that hydration, all those wonderful hydrating moisturizing products don't quite absorb in, and it'll wrinkle, it'll crease up just a little bit. Not crease, but the product will crease up. So I put this here to help absorb that. This is not a dry powder. It is not a talc powder. It is a moisturizing, well, it's not moisturizing. It's a hydrating powder. So it's very different. When you first apply it, it feels wet on your skin. It feels cool, like wet, but it's not wet. It's really cool stuff. So then I just take my powder brush and lightly dust everything now. In my oily areas, I used to use a triangle puff or a powder puff and really pack it in those oily areas. That's just not working with my skin these days. Okay, now we're ready for blush, my favorite blush stick. I do this after powder because I have found that if I put powder on top of it, this is such a nice faint, slight color that it takes it too much away. So I wait till after the powder. Also, it imparts a little bit of a glow with its dewier finish, and that gets taken away if you cover it with powder. So you're gonna put that, I put that right on top of my bronzer. There's no space in between. And I blend the edges down into the bronzer and also out. It's just a very soft flush of color. I also chronically get foundation built up in my eyebrows, no matter how much I try to avoid my eyebrows with the foundation. I just take a Q-tip and wipe it out. On to eyes, my favorite thing. I'm just going to use a medium brown. This is Earthly, with a blending brush, and I'm just going to get, it's kind of like contouring your eye. You want to keep your eye open, because when you close your eye, you're going to tend to put it right here. And when you put it right here and your eye is open, you can't really see it anymore. And you need that color to peek up, to be visible from your eye, to create that depth, to create that shadow. So even if you have hooded eyes, or especially if you have hooded eyes, which sometimes mine can be these days because, you know, they have more details. You really want to make sure that your eye is open and that you're not doing this. See how I did that? That's kind of sometimes an unconscious thing we do to try to improve access to that area. We don't necessarily need more access. We need it to be here. Now you can do that to fill it in, but you really need it to be visible with your eye open and relaxed. That's how you're going to create that depth. And I'm not doing big eyes today. It's going to be a lighter look. So see how far up the brow bone I'm going? You're not going to be a hoochie mama. It's what your eyes need to have depth. And my brush is shutting. See? So just take a minute and look at the difference in the two. This one looks like a vast plane and it's making my eye look smaller because there's no center of focus. This is giving some shadows for depth perception, so my eye looks a little bigger and more open. Pretty cool. Okay, so now I'm just going to help my eye to pop a little more, give it a little more brightness. This pink shade right here, and it's very subtly pink. I mean, it's extremely subtle. It's just barely pink. I love it. So I take it and I put it to brighten that eye, inner eye a little more right here. This is also going to help you look a little more awake. And then I add just a pinch, teeny tiny amount in the arch of the brow. This is again going to give a focal point up higher so that you look more awake and your eye looks bigger. And I blend that right into that crease shade I put on. See the difference? Okay, this little stick right here, the Moodstruck stick eyeshadow stick in the color Deliberate. Oh my gosh, I wear it almost every day. I think, oh, you shouldn't be wearing that every day. You shouldn't be wearing that every day because I like different eye looks. But I love it. I love it. So I think it works best to use a cream shadow brush and put it on. You can use this directly on your eye, but what I have found is that because it's a stick and not a liquid, it pulls some. And so if you have details, it's difficult. It is creamy. It's just a little more, it's just easier to glide over those details and not get stuck if you use a brush. But look at what it does for your eye. Who would not want that every single day? Who would not want that every single day? So then I just blend out the edge. Now these you do have to work with very quickly. When they set, they're set. That's it. That's why I do the powder first, so that I can blend this up into the powder like that. Look at that. Isn't that amazing? Love this stuff. Okay, on to eyeliner. This is the way I've been doing it lately. You want this to be not sharp, but fairly sharp. And I do still tightline, but I'm putting a lot more emphasis in getting it in the roots of my lashes, not just on the waterline. I don't know if you can see. See how it's not really on the waterline? It is some, but I'm really trying to get it in between those lashes. Because this combined with this eyeshadow on my lid is really going to make your eyes look very more long because you're giving them a good solid base to start with. And then to add a little more emphasis, I come just barely over the top, about a third of the way. And I don't want there to be gaps in between those two lines. So see how it looks like a solid line? And now, should have had this brush ready to go. I take this little bitty eyeliner brush and I just blend that out. This is going to add a little lift at the end of my eye. for a little more attention, a little more lift, a little more drama, without having to go and do this perfect wing that gets more and more difficult as you get older because your skin is not tight enough. So just adding a thicker line here is going to imitate a wing for you. See the difference? Okay, because of the details in this eye, it tends to come up a little higher than I want it to and be a little thicker than I want it to almost every time. So I just take a Q-tip. This is the one I used on my eyebrows. It still has makeup on it. That's okay. And I take that down a little bit, soften it up, and then I take my deliberate eyeshadow stick and put some on just the edge and just go back and lighten that back up. That's how you fix it. Okay, my absolute favorite that I discovered this week, way to do my lashes, is combining, what is the name of this? Quadra mascara with Epic 4D. Now, I put a lot of eyeliner in and I got it on my lashes, so you want to make sure you comb those back out and get off any of that eyeliner residue. Well, it's okay if you have some, but you just want to comb them back out. Now, Quadra is a tubing mascara, so it's very different. It's not very different, it's still mascara, but it works different and it has a few little tricks to it that other mascaras do not. So this one has a dual-sided brush. One is a silicone side with very short bristles that acts more like a comb, and one is a regular bristle side that allows you to fluff them all in. I like starting with the bristle side. But because I'm combining it with Epic 4D, I'm not going to go crazy with this stuff. I just want it to coat the lashes. So what I start with the bristles and then I kind of turn it so that I'm getting both ends, if that makes sense. Silicone on top, bristles on bottom. And it doesn't have to be perfect. I just want them coated. Okay, so that's a good coat of mascara. The trick is, I think, letting this dry so that the tubes form, and then coming back with your Epic 4D. So give me a second. Okay, so here's my theory as to why this works. If I let those tubes start to form from that tubing mascara, so a tubing mascara encapsulates your lash, forming like a tube over your lash. That tube, that little light tube, gives this Epic 4D something to really attach to and give you just tons of volume. Plus you're getting the fibers of both mascaras to get you some length. I just love it. So I do use my hairdryer trick where I blow it up and help it set a little more so I'm not waiting and waiting and waiting. And then I go in and apply the Epic 4D. I mean, can you already tell? It's just amazing. And I did it on a whim because I just missed my 4D. I just thought, well, let's see if we can combine the two. And it's just fabuloso. I'm not even having to work that hard with the 4D. I could really be doing the twist and emphasizing all that, but just look how simple this is. Now, I dinked with the 4D. With the tubing, if you dink like that, you're going to want to go in and get it right away. With regular mascara, you're going to want to wait till it dries, and then it'll just flake off. Okay? Look at that. I mean, come on. take my little comb, take some of that volume and turn it into length by combing it out. That is just amazing. Like I said, I'm going to let that dry, and then I'm going to show you with a spoolie wand. I'm going to come back and show you how it just flakes right off. But come on, it's just amazing. Okay, so just take a moment. I just used the hair dryer on this side. Just take a moment. Okay, I mean, come on. Okay, so this is the trick. Little spoolie wand. It's hard to see in the phone. Once it's dry, take it away. No longer there. Straighten that one out just a little bit. And there we go. I mean, y'all, this mascara. Okay, so I hope that you learned something. I hope that something is in here that you can try that will help you. I know it is not the best coverage. I know that. I'm willing to live with a little less coverage to have a better finish. If you want more coverage, you're probably just going to add less BB cream and more of the Touch Solution foundation. The reason I think both of those work together well is because they're very hydrating. They're not thick, moisturizing ones. They're very hydrating with the sodium hyaluronate. I think the combination of the two just gives me the right coverage, the right finish, and just lays very, very, very well. And I've heard a lot of presenters say in the past how much BB cream helps underneath regular foundation anyway if you have more mature skin. And now I can totally agree with that. So y'all have a great day. I'll talk to you later. Thanks for watching. Bye. One more quick thing I forgot to tell you, because I do have still oily skin. What might happen sometimes is that by the time, right before I'm ready to leave the house, some of the product may have liquided up some, and there's a little crease of liquid right there. I just hit my inner nose real quick with a dry sponge to get that out of the way, and then it's good to go after that. You have a great day.